Hello and welcome to another Lord of the Rings video. I just got done reviewing the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I thought I'd do something a little fun. I'm going to rank a bunch of characters from the Lord of the Rings films. Now, I'm not a big Tolkien head. I read the books when I was younger, but most of my knowledge comes from the film series, the special features, and just general cultural osmosis. To determine their rank, I'm going to consider their power level, their overall impact on the story, my personal perception of the character, and just my interpretation of the general public's appreciation of the character. Let's jump right in, starting with Aragorn. Oh man, this is already a little bit hard because, like, I don't want to step on anyone's toes, you know? Like, what if I put Aragorn in, like, B or A, and everyone's like, he's got to be an S tier. Power level-wise, he's probably the best swordsman in Middle-earth. See, that's how little I know. Probably for a man, right? I bet any elf could be Aragorn. But in terms of men, he's obviously, like, the best of us, right? That's his whole thing. Impact on the story, obviously very big. You know, I like him. I think he's really cool. I like that he's kind of a ranger. You know, he knows his way around the world. And then obviously people, you know, generally like him a lot. So I'm going to put him for now in A tier. Maybe he could go higher. I'm not against rearranging some of these guys. Frodo Baggins. Now, he's an interesting case. Obviously, he's not going to be a great fighter because he's a hobbit, but being able to bear the ring for that long without, like, completely losing his mind, I mean, he kind of does at the very end, but even getting there is an incredible feat. So I'm going to say he's got a really strong power level overall. As for his impact on the story, I mean, obviously very high. He's the ring bearer. He's probably the closest thing to a main character this film series has, but people like him too. I'm going to also put him in A tier. Now, Legolas, I might have some controversial opinions on Legolas. He honestly, like, doesn't do much in the series, right? Like, he's a good warrior. He's got some good, like, banter with Gimli, but all in all, like, you know, power level very high. Like, he took down an entire Oliphant all on his own. He's probably one of the most capable warriors in Middle-earth. Maybe he's known to be, like, a really great warrior. I don't remember. But in terms of impact on the story, it's overall pretty low. Like, he doesn't have much connection to a lot of these characters. I think I'm going to put Legolas all the way in D tier right off the bat. Maybe he could go up or down. Just wait. Now, Gimli's better. I like Gimli more than Legolas. I like John Rhys-Davies' performance more, maybe because he's a dwarf and you get to be a little funnier or more boisterous compared to the solemn, proper elves. But his power level is still very high. He's a highly capable warrior. His impact on the story probably rivals Legolas in that they don't have, like, the most to do, but he's there and he's cool and I like him and people like him, so I'm gonna put him at C tier. Pippin's an interesting one. So he and Merry kind of serve as the comic relief. Power level wise, they're not very strong. Do they even fight? They're kind of fighting at the end of film 3, right? In the battle of the Black Gate. I don't know what that battle's called. The Battle for Middle-earth. It's a good game. As for impact on the story, again, not very high. Their plot kind of derails the warrior party in book 2 and film 2. He has more stuff to do in film 3 because he's kind of tagging along with Gandalf. But overall, I think he's fun. I think I'm going to put him in C tier as well. And now Merry, the more boring of the two. I still like Merry, but overall kind of this very similar stuff with him. Low power level, low impact on the story. My perception's a little and I think people generally like him. Kind of like with Merry in film 3, he kind of goes off and does his own thing with Eowyn. So I'm gonna put him in C tier as well. Boromir, now there's an interesting character. Obviously, he's like a world-renowned, incredible warrior amongst men. He sacrifices himself to save Merry and Pippin. He does get corrupted by the ring, which is interesting, and it shows the power of the ring and what it can do to people. But I like him a lot. I love his performance, obviously, by Sean Bean. And what his character kind of means in this greater world is interesting. And I think fans like him too. He's a solid B tier character. Now, Samwise Gamgee. He kind of does all the work, you know what I mean? While Frodo's making all these mistakes, like trusting Gollum, keeping the ring for himself, wasting the last few drops of their water, my god, Sam is there to be the level-headed rock that Frodo needs to complete this journey. Without him, their mission fails. There are multiple times in the series where Sam shows his importance to the story. We don't see him fight too much except for at the very end when he takes down that squad of orcs, though he did have the ring on him, so maybe it was making him stronger. All in all, I like him a lot. I think people like him a lot and appreciate his place in the story. He is a solid A tier character. Now, Gandalf. This is a cool character. I love everything about Gandalf, from his powers to his wisdom to his transformation into Gandalf the White. I talk about this in my Fellowship review, but I love the impact that his death had has on the story. It gives a lot of weight to the story. It shows that these dangers are incredibly real and the stakes are incredibly high, that even a character like Gandalf can be the first one to die in your fellowship. All in all, I love him. I think people love him. He is an S tier character. Some of these guys on this list is kind of weird. Like, I didn't make this list. So this is the one-eyed guy in the Battle of Helm's Deep who accidentally fires the arrow that starts the battle, right? Wrong! Hey guys, it's me, but from the future. I actually mix up two characters in this bit. The guy who fires the arrow and the one-eyed guy are two different characters. I'm gonna be talking about the guy with one eye. Bye! Not much to say about him. I guess when I was a kid, I thought the eye being missing was kind of creepy. I believe that it wasn't an actor with an actual missing eye. I might be completely wrong, but I think he was a little bit nervous to be seen without his, like, fake eye, but he let them shoot him like that, and it ends up being a striking image.
There was a shot there of one of the extras who'd actually lost an eye. He turned up and he had an eye patch on, and we asked him if he'd mind taking his eye patch off, and he said that he'd never ever done it before, that he felt very self-conscious. But he took it off and he just had this amazing kind of, socket. And so I shot a big close-up of it, and afterwards he came to me and he said that was really great. He said it made me feel much better, and I sort of don't feel as bad about it now that he actually got to sort of be in the movie.
Right, it's a powerful moment, the way you use it.
Kind of a good way to further show the vulnerability of the good guy army in the Battle of Helm's Deep. But that's kind of all he has going for him. I don't know. I don't see people talking about him. I think he's probably gotta go here. Now, Bilbo's an interesting one. His power level in terms of combat is probably obviously very low. By the time we meet him in the Lord of the Rings films, he's an old man. But his ability to survive the temptations of the ring for that long shows the resilience of the hobbits to the power of the ring. He has a pretty solid impact on the story in that he kind of kicks everything off. I think he's a cool character. I like the way he's portrayed on screen, and I think people like him too. So he's a solid B tier character. Okay, so this is the guy who stands next to Galadriel. He wants to know where Gandalf is, right?
Tell me, where is Gandalf? For I much desire to speak with him.
I'm going to be honest, I don't remember his name. Oh wait, I just remembered. His name is Celeborn. He was said to be one of the wisest elves in all of Middle-earth by the end of the Third Age. But in reality, I have no clue who he is. I don't know his power level. I don't know. He's married to Galadriel, I guess. So hey, I mean, he's probably got something going for him. But all in all, impact on the story, I don't know who he is. I don't see anyone talking about him. He's probably an F tier character. Sorry, Lorehounds, if he's like the most amazing character in the books. I have no idea. Lord Denethor, Steward of Gondor. He's an interesting character. To me, he kind of represents one of the main themes of the film trilogy. It's about power, right? The ring is all about power and how power corrupts and how people are reluctant to give up that power. So Denethor is in power as Steward of Gondor, and he's reluctant to give up that power to Aragorn. As for power level, he's kind of a weak character overall, right? Like, he's an asshole to one of his sons. He's willing to just burn his son alive as well as himself, but I find him interesting, and I think other people find him interesting too. We're gonna put him here. Elrond. I feel like I'm remembering that Elrond was like a great warrior. I could be completely making that up. I don't remember. For me, with Elrond, the big thing with him is that he's carried by Hugo Weaving's performance. The way he commands the Council of Elrond is very interesting. That's one of like my favorite scenes in film history. But overall, after that scene, he doesn't have like a lot to do in the trilogy. I do really like him, and I think other people like him too. But again, I think he's really held up by that performance. So I'm gonna put him at C tier. All right, Karl Urban's character. Oh my God, I am spacing on his name. Oh, I remember, it's Éomer. Again, I really like Karl Urban as an actor. I think it's a pretty good portrayal, but all in all, he doesn't really do a whole lot. He's just honestly just kind of there, kind of floating around. He was supposed to be in the background of this scene, but he like couldn't be there that day or something, and so it's just some random guy, and I think they were gonna like CG his face on him, but they never did. So even in scenes where he's supposed to be there, he's not even there. Also, there was a chance that his people may have killed Merry and Pippin. So overall, I think he's a D tier character. Here we are at the lady block. These are like the only women in the entire trilogy. It's crazy. Arwen. This was interesting in my recent rewatch of the film series. I remembered Arwen being in the films a lot more than she actually is. I talk about this more in my reviews of the films, but she's third build despite being in the films barely at all. Like here's her screen time, right? So we've got Arwen here, First film, 4:45. Look at all these characters who have more screen time than her. Gandalf, 37 minutes. Aragorn, 25 minutes. Sam, 23. Boromir, 20. Pippin, 18 minutes. Merry, 18 minutes. Gimli, 11 minutes. All of these people build below her. She was third build. She was actually supposed to be at the Battle of Helm's Deep, but I think something leaked online and people in 2002 on the internet blew up about it. So I don't think we ever get to see her fight outside of what she does with the ring wraiths. Again, she just kind of floats around. She's there to be kind of Aragorn's love interest, but she's like barely in the films. She does the most in Fellowship of the Ring. It pains me because there's like no female characters in this whole film trilogy, but I'm gonna put her at F tier. She just doesn't do anything. Eowyn. Now there's a female character done pretty well. I like how she subverts a lot of tropes of female characters in fantasy films. She ends up single-handedly taking down the big baddie of the third film, so her power level is pretty high. I like her a lot. I like all of her scenes. I think she's a great actress too. I think people generally appreciate her too. I'm gonna put her in A tier. Galadriel. So obviously you have a world-class performance by Cate Blanchett. I mean, what else could you get from her? But she's not in the films a whole lot. Her power level is really high. Obviously she's an elf queen, and she insinuates that if she had the power of the ring, she would like take over the world. She has a pretty solid impact on the story in that she shows that Frodo needs to break up the Fellowship. I never really liked this scene though. Like the execution of it was always wonky to me. But I like Galadriel. I'm gonna put her in B tier. So Rosie, not much to say. She's Sam's love interest. We see her in the beginning of the series and then right at the end. But like, other than being the mother of Sam's children, she's got like nothing to do. Easy F tier character. Faramir. Now, Faramir's interesting. In my most recent rewatch of the films, I was kind of disappointed by his portrayal. He kind of came off as like one note. I understand his overall place in the story, but all of his scenes and storylines are a little bit muddier than the rest. He's also unwilling to stand up to his father and gets like his entire battalion of knights killed. I mean, obviously he has daddy issues that he's working through, and that's kind of interesting. All in all, I think he's a D tier character. Okay, so this is the knight that shows up at the Battle of Helm's Deep. I don't remember his name. Is it Glorfindel? I'm gonna go with Glorfindel. So Glorfindel shows up at the Battle of Helm's Deep with a squad of elves. I talk about this in my review of the Two Towers, but I didn't love how he and his elves kind of served as a deus ex machina. He's really not much of a character, and then his death is given like all this attention. I don't know, I'm sure he's a great warrior, but I don't think too much of him. I don't think people talk about him too much, so I'm gonna put him in D tier. Okay, so this is the kid that Aragorn talks to in the Battle of Helm's Deep, before the Battle of Helm's Deep. I think his name was like Hummus?
Hullis, son of Hammermine.
Hummus?
Hullis,
Hummus?
Hullis.
I don't know. I do know that this is writer Philippa Boyan's son. In the commentary track, they talked about how his voice had just dropped, so they had to hire an actor to ADR all of his lines. Like the guy with no eye, he kind of serves as a means to show the vulnerability of the Rohan army, but all in all, I mean, he's not much of a character. F tier. Isildur. So obviously he's not in the movies much. He's there to show the corrupting power of the ring and the weakness of men, and why men should not have this much absolute power. A very interesting theme that the series ends up contradicting by giving Aragorn absolute power. All in all, his decision not to destroy the ring ends up causing tons of suffering, so he gets to go in F tier. Theoden. Theoden's pretty cool. I really like his portrayal. He's obviously older, but he's a good warrior. Seeing this king needing to make huge decisions for his people, and whether or not those were the right decisions, is very interesting. I think people in general like him a lot, so I'm gonna put him at B tier. Okay, does this guy even have a name? He's the leader of the dead warriors that Aragorn summons to help save them in the Battle of the Pelennor Fields. Like I talk about in my review of the Return of the King, I was once again kind of annoyed by them being a deus ex machina. Obviously their power level is really high, but I don't care for them too much. I don't think the public cares for them too much. Let's put him at D tier. Okay, who is this guy? Oh, he's the guy who like tries to talk to Arwen in film 3. Arwen like decides to go be with Aragorn, and he's like, no, we gotta go this way. What is his name? They named him Figwit? Okay, it's a fan name. Why is he called Figwit? Figwit's rise to fame began shortly after the first movie. Is he in the first movie? Peter Jackson stated in the DVD commentary for The Return of the King that he was given dialogue in the third movie because Jackson became aware of the attention given to this extra. God, what does he do in Fellowship? This is him at the Council of Elrond. After Frodo shouts, "I will take it," and everyone turns to look at him, he is standing in the background for only a fraction of a second, thus few know who he is. So why did fans like him? Jackson mentions the phenomenon in the commentary track on the extended version of the Return of the King DVD. The decision to give him a speaking role was developed after the scene was scripted. Originally just a random cast extra was to give the lines, but it was decided it would be fun if the Figwit actor was brought to deliver them. Why? In 2004, a 50-minute documentary on the Figwit phenomenon. Frodo is great, who is that? What? Why do people like this guy? He comes back as Figwit in the Hobbit films? Figwit has become a popular character in fanfiction. Okay. Well, Figwit, I still don't know what people see in you. You're kind of a boring character. Oh wait, why are there two Frodos? Mistakes go in the F tier. Gollum might be the coolest character in anything ever. Despite being so skinny, he's pretty strong. Despite having like 2 rotten teeth, he bites off Frodo's finger. That's how much he loves this freaking ring. But all joking aside, he's an incredibly complex character. What he means for this story, what he means to the ring, what he means to Frodo are all incredibly interesting. He's probably my favorite character in the whole trilogy. He's obviously a fan favorite. He's an easy S tier character. Why is this F? Can I change this color? It's a little too late now. Let's change it to what's not being used. Let's change it to, I don't know, this. There we go. Saruman. Obviously, Christopher Lee is incredible. He is the White Wizard, so his power level is very high. He serves as the big bad of the second film. So, I mean, a whole film is devoted to taking him down, so his impact on the story is very high. He does a lot in film 1 as well. If I'm remembering correctly, Christopher Lee was really angry when he was cut from film 3. I think he's an interesting character. Again, he kind of shows how power is very corrupting. But overall, I don't know. Would y'all hate me if I put him at C? I think I'm going to put him at C. Okay, the Urukai that kills Boromir. Oh my god, I know his name. I know his name. God, all I have is Figwit in my head, though. I feel like I'm saying a slur. I don't remember his name. I just remembered. It's Lurtz. Anyway, Lurtz is kind of cool. He's kind of an interesting, like, you know, side boss in the Fellowship of the Ring. He's obviously very strong in that he kills Boromir and puts up a good fight against Aragorn. Let's put him at C. Oh. Okay, it saves it. Okay, so this is Sauron, I want to say. Power level wise, he's probably the strongest person out of any of these, maybe save Gandalf. Despite the fact that we don't really see him much in the series, we do see his tower and the eye, so his presence is always felt, even in the ring. I'm going to throw him in C. Alright, last one, the Witch King. I feel like he's kind of a middle-of-the-road character in terms of most of the elements. Not the most impact on the story. I don't think too much of him. I don't see people talking about him too much. His biggest fault is that he got beat by a fucking girl. To the F tier you go. And there you have it, folks. My tier list of the Lord of the Rings film series characters. Where did I go wrong? Probably everywhere. Are there any of my hot takes that you actually agree on? Let me know in the comments and be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.